Welcome to Employee Relations Words of Wisdom, your source for all things human resources and employee and labor relations. Hi, my name is Bob Carroll. I'm the Executive Vice President and Permanent Solutions Labor Consultants and your host for today's episode of Employee Relations Words of Wisdom. Before I start, remember, as always, click the little subscribe button there so you can subscribe to our channel, and then click the little bell. That way we can let you know when new material is put out. Now, what are we going to talk about today? Well, I decided last Friday, I decided I was going to write my first book. And I'm going to write my first book on adversity and excuses. And without getting into too much detail, I've been through a lot in my private life where I certainly have the knowledge to speak of adversity, of just because of some of the things I've had to overcome, both personally and professionally. Now, I'll share a couple of those things with you right now. I started my career as a firefighter. It was my dream job. It was the job I wanted since I was a little kid. I did it. I interviewed at a fire department here in Michigan. There was approximately 5,000 applicants, and I was one of the 3 that were hired. Awesome accomplishment. Only worked the job for a few years, because I ended up losing my shoulder in an accident. And most people would say that's tragic. And it was huge adversity for me. I lost my dream job. See, this is what happened. I went to all the specialists in my area, and the injury was so severe that their recommendation was to permanently fuse my shoulder, where I would have absolutely zero mobility for the rest of my life. Now, this happened in the 90s. I would have missed out on so much in life if I had given up at that point, but I didn't give up. I had 3 surgeries on my shoulder. None of them worked. They still wanted to fuse it. But I didn't give up. You see, because in my head, I had a feeling that I could push harder and push and look outside of the box at the solutions that were being offered to me by the medical teams that I was using. I made a trip out to Mayo Clinic. Mayo Clinic said, "How far are you from Ypsilanti, Michigan?" So I made this long trip to Minnesota from Michigan to find a surgeon who was literally located 15 to 20 minutes away from my house. This person's worked on Bill Clinton, Oprah Winfrey. He's been on Oprah Winfrey's show. In fact, one day when I was in a visit, he had a VIP guest from one of the from Saudi Arabia, and they closed the office down because this person came in. The doctor was that good, but he was that good because he also knew a thing about adversity and knew that there was always a solution to any problem. You might not get the best results, it's medical. I mean, there's only so much you can do. But what he did say is he could get me mobility back, but there was a risk, and I would have to work hard, and I would have to push, and I did it. So instead of being locked like this for the rest of my life, I can actually move my arm a little bit. And it was a big deal because I play guitar. I was devastated when I found out about this. Guitar was one of my passions, and there was no way with a locked shoulder that I could get my arm around a guitar. There was no way that was going to happen. Let alone little things like changing light bulbs, lifting things over my head, playing catch with my kids. None of that stuff was going to happen in my life. But I didn't give up. It was adversity, and it was right in my face. So what did I do? I pushed. I didn't make excuses. When you're dealing with adversity, excuses are the barriers. They're the ones standing right between you and success. And when you start making excuses, and saying, poor me, I can't get it done, you fail. There's a huge difference between I can't and I won't. There's a I will, and I will succeed. So how does that apply to the workplace? Well, we see it all the time. We see employees who struggle with the job that they've taken. They don't push hard enough to look for ways to become better. They're afraid to go to their supervisors or coworkers for advice on how to advance, how to do a better job, how to produce. They're often labeled as lazy. When the truth is, they simply just don't have what it takes to stay away from the excuses. They're the I can't people. Those same people, if they adopt a mentality that they will, they can certainly overcome adversity. And then there's the supervisors. The supervisors are just as guilty. They have to raise up their employees to get the numbers, to get the service satisfaction levels that their bosses, their leaders are expecting. They're getting it from both sides. So they're facing adversity every day. A machine breaks down in a manufacturing facility, and I see this far too much when I'm in there working in a consulting role, where knee-jerk reactions cause complete catastrophic failures. See, if I was to do a knee-jerk reaction with my shoulder, I wouldn't be here talking to you today. But no, I pushed. And actually, losing my shoulder became one of the biggest blessings in my life. I would probably have more injuries on my body today from firefighting than I do living the life I live. And I live a decent life. I get to travel. I get to do the things I like to do. I love my life. I'm not sure that I would have that if I stayed on the path I was at with a firefighting career. I get to help people. I get to help owners and presidents of companies. I get to help supervisors. I get to help employees. I get to see the satisfaction right there in front of my eyes when the transformation happens. Because I did not look at adversity and make excuses. You see, those excuses are the equivalent to a boulder. You could be working on facing adversity, and you're pushing a boulder up a hill. You're pushing and you're sweating and you're hurting and you are just exhausted. And you get almost to the top. You're right there. You don't know it. You have a huge giant boulder in front of you. You don't know it, but you're almost to the summit of that mountaintop. And you let it go. And that boulder comes crashing down all the way to where you started. And you look up and you see you were almost there. Adversity just kicked your behind. And you have two choices. You can give up, or you can go back down to the bottom of that mountain and push it back up again. That's it. That boulder's not going to move itself. Another thing a lot of people don't know about me. I was literally dead for 37 seconds. My heart had stopped for 37 seconds after an appendectomy. I used to love to exercise. I used to love to run, lift weights. Even with the bad shoulder, I was lifting weights because I would not give up. After my heart stopped, I realized all the gifts I have in my life. I realized everything that I'm working for is worth every breath that I take. If I was to give up and say, I have a bad heart, I can't do the things I used to do, I wouldn't be here talking to you right now. My career would have been over. No. I looked at it as a challenge. I got healthier than I've ever been. I pushed and pushed and pushed. I listened to what I felt in my head, in my heart, and in my body, and in my gut. And I continued to push. So what are you going to do in your business? What are you going to do as a leader? Are you going to give up? Are you going to say it can't be done, or it will be done? Because you have to say it will be done to succeed. It's like when I'm talking to my little girl and she says, I can't. I said, no, you won't. You need to get to I will. So I'm going to end with another analogy here, one from my little girl. And hopefully that you guys can take this and translate it into a business purpose. But I am writing a book on adversity, so I want to share some of the analogies that will be in the book, give you a little teaser here, right? So just the other day, my daughter had a soccer game. And for those of you who have watched these episodes know that my daughter's heavily involved in sports. In fact, I've done an episode on learning leadership from competitive youth sports. Well, right before a game, she hands me her cleats. Says, Dad, I got a knot in these cleats. I can't get the knot out. Well, she had this thing triple tied, and this knot was tight. You couldn't get that knot out. And I almost gave up. I had two choices. I can continue to try to work on this knot and get her in this game, or I can cut the laces and go get her new laces and hopefully get her in time. Well, I was ready to cut the laces. I was there. We all go through it. See, we all face adversity. Big like the heart attack, small like laces. We all face adversity. I decided before I cut it to look to my right and found that the shop was closed. Now, if I would have cut those laces before I looked at the shop, she wouldn't have gone on to play that game. It took me 30 more seconds after I looked at that shop to get those laces off, and she trotted out on the field and went out there to score 6 goals. The team won. They won big with her 6 goals. Now, I was proud. I was very proud of her. But my point is, what if I gave up? I'm facing adversity right now, talking to you, and you don't even know it. Look right here. See those blue in my glasses? These are brand new glasses. That blue has been in this video throughout this entire video. And it's incredibly distracting to me. It's got that blue light filter in the lenses. I could have stopped. I could have redid this episode. But no, I pushed through. It was adversity, literally staring right in my face. But I didn't. I didn't skip a beat because I know I'm never going to let adversity beat me. Are you going to let adversity beat you? I hope not. Because in business, in your job, you're going to face adversity every day. A press is going to go down and a knee-jerk reaction is going to happen. And the events could be catastrophic, or you could step back, look at the problem, involve your team, involve your leadership. Sometimes you need outsiders to come in and assess the situation and do it right. And do it right the first time. And then if it doesn't work the first time, you're not going to give up. You're going to do it a second time. And if it doesn't work the second time, you're going to do it a third time. What you're not going to do is you're not going to give up. Because if you give up, you just let adversity kick your behind. And that's how you fail. And what you do not want to do in business is fail. We all know people who had failed marriages. We all know people whose health is failing. We all know people that own successful businesses when their businesses went on to fail. We all know people who have had money and watched their money disappear. That's because adversity got in their way. They made excuses. They didn't make the changes necessary when they knew that they could, when they knew that they were will people. If they were will people, they would have got it done. Instead, they chose to be I can't people, and I can't people will never get it done. And adversity will win every single time. So that's it for this week's episode of Employee Relations Words of Wisdom. I hope you understood and you got the topic and you can relate this to your business practice, your leadership practice, because adversity in the workplace is something that is never going to go away. It's how you deal with it as a leader that makes you strong, that makes you show your confidence, that makes people follow you. You want to embrace the adversity. Bring it on. Let the adversity come your way. Be the hero. Deal with it. Get it done. Remember, subscribe to our channel and hit the little bell icon here. And we'll see you next week on Employee Relations Words of Wisdom. And I'm going to be coming back with some more on adversity. So if you have any questions, put them down below. If you've dealt with adversity, I want to know what you've dealt with. I want to hear some stories. Who knows, you might end up in my book. That would be awesome. So I'll see you next week on Employee Relations Words of Wisdom. I hate these glasses. We're getting this fixed. See you next week.